And here we go. Guys, welcome to the first ever episode of Booking It Book Club Edition. How excited are we for this? I'm so excited. I've been trying to get book club together. Well, we haven't all really um we haven't really found a book that we all just like literally couldn't shut up about even in the group chat.
Mhm.
And I was like, you know what? I feel like we should all just get together and just talk about this so that people know why we love it so much.
This was
So,
Michaela's pick.
yes, this was Michaela's pick. Her first pick being in book club with me and Ashley, and it's a
Hey
10 out of
yo.
10. We loved it. Um, so for reference, for all of my peeps who are following me on my channel, um, in my corner over here is my little baby Ashley. We work together. We're also besties. She
I
brought the
mean, popcorn.
popcorn. And then in the bottom, I don't know how it looks on their computers, but at my bottom is going to be Mac, or as I lovingly refer to her in my phone as Texas Mac. And
I just woke up and I'm eating a hot pocket.
woo! She's also got cooties.
She's got strep. So we won't get to see what Mac looks like on this book review,
Yes. So
but maybe
maybe
in the
next time.
future.
Or maybe we'll just keep it a mystery, that'll be Mac's whole like allure. I mean like she's from Texas, but what does she look like?
Imagine a cowboy hat. Just a cowboy hat.
That's exactly the picture I'm gonna put over your thing where it says Kayla's iPhone. I'm just gonna put a big ass picture of a cowboy
An
hat.
emoji. The
Yes,
emoji, the like cowboy emoji.
yes, that's exactly what I'm gonna
Yeehaw.
do. All right. So
The
for my
Bucky symbol.
peeps, look, it's gonna be so fun. This is gonna be so fun to edit, and I'm probably not even actually gonna edit it. I'm just gonna put like a thing over where it says Kayla's iPhone, and we're just gonna keep it moving. All right. So max pick for this month, which is December for people watching in the future, December 2024. We read The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which apparently came out in 2020.
Hmm.
I found out.
I
And I
thought it
only
came out last year or this year.
Right?
Mm-mm. Well, I was reading on the interwebs, and it said that this book was one of Barack Obama's top picks for 2020.
What?
Yeah.
I'm so innovative.
So look at you, Mac. She didn't even know, and we love Barack over here.
We
Okay.
do. I'm a fan.
We miss him every day.
My Barack
Um,
sense.
Look, see, she said it was tingling, and he said, "Read this book, girl. You right. You're right, Barack. You're right, as per usual." So we read The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which let me tell y'all what this book had me all kinds of stressed. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just read the synopsis of the book for everybody. Um, that way we kind of know everyone kind of gets the gist of what's going on, and then we'll chat about it and how everybody felt and what characters we think got what they deserved. Peters. But anyway, who am I? All right, so the synopsis goes: when a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, two worlds collide. Early morning, August 1975, a camp counselor discovers an empty bunk. Its occupant, Barbara Van Laar, has gone missing. Barbara isn't just any 13-year-old. She's the daughter of the family that owns the summer camp and employs most of the region's residents. And this isn't the first time a Van Laar child has disappeared. Barbara's older brother similarly vanished 14 years ago, never to be found. As a panicked search begins, the thrilling drama unfolds, chasing down the layered mysteries of the Van Laar family and the blue collar community living and working in its shadow. Moore's multi threaded story invites readers into the rich and gripping dynasty of secrets. And let me tell you what, was it gripping? Okay. I like, and it's told for everyone's like reference when you do get the book. You're going to be like, is somebody here? The cats are like freaking out. So I'm trying to figure out if somebody's here or not.
Gripping.
everything's gripping right now. Okay, like
It's just a gripping
everything.
mystery.
Eh. Um. So the book is told from no, that's a lie. 8 different points of view. I counted. It's told from 8 different POVs over a fifth, like kind of technically 15, like a 15-year span. Um, and it's
Fucked
nuts,
up.
bro. So fucked up. And the ending, like, it's not the ending that you expect because I completely expected Barbara to be murdered and they like find her body like 100%. And then it just went completely left from that. So
Mhm.
who wants to start off with how they felt going into the book as to how they felt once they came out of it? Ashley.
Okay, cool. I was like, am I gonna get picked? Okay, period.
You're first in
Um,
the alphabet, so yes.
I listened to it, so it was like weird at first when you don't know all the characters, trying to
Mhm.
keep up with like all the different point of views because I was like, wait, who's talking? Wait, why is it being referred like this? But like once you get it down, it's good. But it's definitely like an adjustment if you choose to listen to it versus reading. The beginning was like a little slow for me, but it was equal parts fucked up because of all the bad shit that happens to Alice. I was the only one who was like, no, 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 guys, don't judge my girl Alice like that yet. Like, she's not a saint in this, but she was groomed in a way that all of this just kind of happened to her.
Yeah. And also
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
the reader, listener, whatever you're doing, watcher, this podcast will include spoilers. So like if you don't want to know like what happens, then just leave right now.
This is not the video for you.
This is not the video for you. I mean, you could probably like look up the ending online, honestly, because it's been out for 4 years. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like if I was like, I just got to tell people that we're gonna be spoiling it, so please
Put a
keep.
little like disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
But yeah, so just our girl Alice,
we do feel bad
Barbara,
for her.
and then in the middle, it was like I was really rooting for our girl. What's her name? The one who had the shitty boyfriend, the abusive boyfriend?
Luis?
Yes,
Louise,
Louise.
yeah.
I was like, damn. And then it was like real hard when her brother was like, everybody looks out for me, like, live your life. Stop dating shitty ass people.
Bro, when her brother called, he was like, "Get better boyfriends." I was like, "Ooh,
She really read her.
ooh, bro, for
And,
real."
and then the ending, even though I don't think it was the ending people were expecting, I feel like it tied up all the loose ends for me. And I was like, I'm satisfied. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not disgruntled. I'm like, I can live with this ending because I'm sure if you've listened to Jonna for a while, you've heard about how I made her read La Hacienda.
Right there, right there
Yeah.
for anybody who's looking.
I also think mine is like up towards the top of like my little.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, um, if you've heard, the ending on that shit sucked ass. Like,
Oh my God, it was awful.
no, so many loose ends, not satisfying. Like,
Honestly,
did
Mac,
they end up
you should be
together?
glad that you came into book club when you did because when we that was like one of the first books me and Ashley read for book club. Like that was when we like first started it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?"
And Jonna doesn't do good with scary books.
I don't.
It's not her thing.
I don't. And it's not even that it was really like scary. It's just that it was really, really slow. Like the whole like it was so slow. Like three quarters of the book was so slow. And then like the last quarter of the book, it was like ghosts, demons, exorcisms, all of this stuff. And I was like, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Um,
So I feel like if you like, not even, it doesn't even have to be classified necessarily as like a happily ever after,
yeah.
just like a satisfying ending where you're like, I'm not mad at it. This is like a really good book for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Mac, what about you?
I love the book. I feel like whenever I was kind of picking out books, I was like looking at the description. But what was really important to me was like it didn't just like go on. Like whenever I first like opened it and I started like reading like the first few like by the first few sentences, like the author voice, it was like, okay, boom, 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 boom. Like this is what's happening, this is what's going on. It kind of puts you right into the situation. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I almost picked a book without really reading it. And it was a lot of purple prose. And this one just kind of got right to the point. Um, and so that kind of made it easier when it came to all the switching point of views, because that I was not expecting, but it wasn't like an unhappy surprise. Alice was it was a little hard to like go between, okay, here's the camp, and oh, here's the like a lady in a house, and oh, here's like somebody. But like
Yeah.
it tied in really well, and I was like, okay, I can like I'm kind of hitting the ground running, but like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Um, and then I feel like it like definitely told like a story versus I don't know how to put it into words, but you know how sometimes like when it comes to some books, it's like, okay, here's like a plot they can see as kind of like either mushed together or just like they tried to make it from several things. This one I felt like kind of occurred like a little more naturally, like a natural series of events just told different ways. And it kind of ended up into one ending and it tied in really well.
Yeah. I know what you're saying when you're saying like it's kind of like you read some books and they're just like, okay, here's the thing, okay, we're done. It's like, okay, cool. And then you read some books and you're like, I'm not even gonna finish this. But with this book, it was like you're really just in it from chapter one because you get the very first chapter is Louise, who is the camp counselor. It's her point of view and her going back into her cabin being like, where the fuck is Barbara? Like,
Yeah. It really feels like you're with the characters because they're written pretty well with how different they are.
yeah,
Um, and then like all their different backgrounds and whatnot and all their different goals and angles, you're like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I
also
mean
fuck the
it.
Peter.
Yes,
Yeah,
we hate the Peters here, okay?
the Van
Um,
Lar period.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so
And Alice's sister wasn't shit either.
yeah, no, we don't like her sister Delphine. She's lame. Okay, so for reference, um Barbara Van Laar is the girl who goes missing, obviously at the camp, and her mom is Alice Van Laar, who is married to Peter Van Laar the third,
The
right?
Mm-hmm.
third.
The third, okay. And so her son, who also went missing, is Peter Van Laar the fourth, but they called him Bear because he was fat, which I was like, wow, that's real fucked up. But he took it in stride. He didn't care, right? He's a little kid. But Peter Van Laar the third, he met Alice when she was 17, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
He
met
was
her.
30.
He was 29 going on 30, and he met Alice when she was 17. And then
Took her to her
basically,
school dance at 30.
yeah, it was like her debutante or whatever, like her debut. And I guess her date like got sick or whatever. And her sister was like, "Oh, this guy Peter's gonna be in town. He's my husband's friend. He can be your date." And then
Mm-hmm.
they go out to the thing, and then Peter's like, "You know what? I'm gonna marry you." And I'm like, "What? That's crazy." Like she's 17, so literally they waited until she was 18 years old to get married. And then she was pregnant at 19 with Bear. And
And a
then
mom by
Bear,
20.
huh?
And a mom by 20.
Yeah, so she was pregnant at 19 with Bear, and then she had Bear and so by the time she was 20, she already had a kid, and she had been married for at least 2 years. Um,
It wasn't a good
so
marriage.
Mm-mm.
no, I mean she's a freaking 18-year-old married to a 30-year-old. Like Like even today, like I would look at somebody and be like, "What?"
And it
Like,
was like unnecessarily like maybe it was proper for those like times and the situation, but oh my god, every little bit of her story was unnecessarily like cruel.
I
yeah,
feel like it should have almost come with like a trigger warning.
Literally. It was
yeah,
so sad. You wanted to like grab her and be like,
It's
run!
okay.
yeah,
Because
Like
literally.
so the reason I say that Delphine ain't shit, which is her older sister,
Yes.
mm-hmm.
is because Alice didn't know this, but in the what was that party called that they had every year?
The black flag?
Okay,
The
so
the black fly goodbye.
yeah.
Yeah, for the summer.
So
Yes.
every year they have this party at the end of the summer at the main house or whatever that's at the top of the hill, and then
The
the
Van Lar
summer
Estate.
camp, yes, and then the summer camp is at the bottom.
Mhm.
And so
Hang on, wait. There might be a
on the
map.
last day, Alice goes looking for Peter, and she walks in, and her
Mm-hmm.
sister is naked in bed cuddling with Peter, her husband.
And they think it's been going on for years, like before they got married, kind of years.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
her sister like basically admitted to it when Alice gets admitted to the, as they called them back in the day, the sanitarium.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for reference, and I never use these freaking maps, okay? Like I was like, I think there's a map in the book, and there is. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
map in the book if y'all can
Let it
see.
focus. Go
Maybe not.
closer. There you go.
There we go. So this is the map of what Ash is talking about. So the Van Laar Preserve is the Van Laar Estate. So that's where they always had the Black Fly goodbye. So, and then all the rest of this is like summer camp and like woods and like the town and all of that stuff where like they were doing like the searches and like all of that stuff. So that's what this is. If you're a map person for books, I'm not, me personally. I couldn't care less about them. I think they're cool and I appreciate the authors who take the time to draw them out like 100%, but like
Mm-hmm.
for reference, that's what it looks like. So,
It kind of helps me, especially with it so like geographical, because you know it's like a camp and they do stuff. It's like, oh, okay, I kind of get
yeah.
the gist of what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. I get that too.
But her sister essentially goes, "We didn't mean for you to like find out this way. But we had hooked up before you even got married, and I figured the easiest way to continue to sleep with him is if you married him because that means that we would still be like close."
And they could knock boots.
Yeah. And
Yes.
then she like alluded to the fact that her and her husband were like
Open.
Delphine and her husband George were in an open marriage. And I was like, that's
I
crazy.
wanted to swing on everybody in that situation. I wanted to
Girl.
like be Alice and just throw a fucking hissy and just be like, I was so mad for like a solid hour when I was answering phones at work. I was like, what? What do you want?
Nah,
I'm
for real.
devastated.
Nah, for real. Yeah, no, that shook me to my core. I was like, but I figured something was going on with her sister and Peter. Like just the way that they
Yeah.
acted towards each other, I was like, there's something going on there, you know?
It's just so fucked up because her sister literally sold her younger sister so that she could have sex with this guy.
Which is wild because she could have still had sex with Peter, like even without Alice being married to him. I mean, he was
Literally,
Literally,
literally
because she
friends
said
with her husband.
they would meet up when he's in the city. And then
Literally.
George dies, which I guess is the only karma that this bitch gets because
R.I.P. George.
nothing else happens to her.
R.I.P. George, okay?
Nothing else happens to her. Nothing detrimental happens to her. And then, so Barbara, which is the second kid that
Mm-hmm.
Peter and Alice had,
Mm-hmm.
because they had to replace Bear because there has to be an error.
An
Yeah.
heir to the, yeah.
An heir
Uh-huh.
to the Van Laar fortune.
Right. Because it's all that in a bag of chips, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Don't cry.
it just pisses me off. So Alice was never motherly or even semi affectionate to Barbara, and it's probably because, I mean, the way that she lost Bear was pretty traumatic. She just woke up one day and it's like he was lost, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Lost in the woods and no one ever found him. And then they blamed some random dude in the village because it fit and it was like an scapegoat, whatever. And so she was never kind to Barbara. And like during her birth to Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
the doctors like injected her, drugged her.
They basically put her to sleep.
They were like,
Yeah,
here, so you don't have to breastfeed. Here, so you
yeah,
can just
they
pass her over to a
injected her.
nanny.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
But the
Oh, and
wild
then
thing is, like, it was
well,
also sad, and I'm sorry to interrupt
you're fine.
Ashley, but it's also sad because, like, she literally had to explain to herself to help to, like, guard her own mind from the tragedy. Is she's like, I can't love another child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, Peter basically was just like, because Bear had been dead, like, what, not even a full year after she had, like, and she was pregnant with Barbara, what, like 6 months later or some shit like that?
Mm-hmm. They got to
Like,
work
after,
quick.
yeah. And so, like,
but Peter
she's
died at like 8 or 9.
oh,
Peter
Bear.
Ford.
Yeah,
Peter
Bear,
4.
Bear.
I was like, Peter didn't die. Okay, that Peter. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
He was like 8 or 9. And so, she had Barbara, like, maybe almost a year after him.
Oh yeah, and
After
yeah.
he
So
then
she
passed.
went to the crazy house first,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, she
yeah,
went on
yeah, yeah.
and she
vacation.
was in that bitch for a while,
Yeah, she was on a grippy
Yeah,
sock vacation for sure.
and it was like
Um,
forced. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm going. No, her husband was like, she's crazy. She's gotta like go in there.
everything
what?
with Alice was against her will.
Yeah,
Yeah, hundred
And then what
percent.
were you saying about her the birth of Barbara?
it
Ashley?
was super traumatic.
Yeah, and like it also. So I was like going back and forth between like listening and reading. Like I read like 90% of it, and I listened to the other 10% of it, and I was driving somewhere and I was in the car and it was the scene where Alice was giving birth to Barbara, but she was like hallucinating basically
Oh my
that
god, it was so sad.
she was seeing Bear in her delivery room. And she was like, "No, like I have to get my baby. Where's my baby?" Da, da, da. And they're like, "You're having your baby right now." And she's like, "No, like my son, like where's my son?" And I'm like listening to that, I almost had to pull over because I was like about to start sobbing because
Literally,
that
I was in the car at the same time. I'm like, I gotta take a break from this book for a minute.
yeah, no, for real. Like I think I called Ashley.
I
Matter of
texted
fact, while I was
Ashley,
in this
like,
she's our
Ashley,
emotional support animal.
our emotional support, Ashley.
Literally. But yeah, no, like it just was so traumatic. If you're a mom or anyone who's like lost a child
Trigger
due to
warning.
any circumstances, like that whole thing, and I'm not a mom. I have not like anything like that. But that as a woman, that shit made me so fucking sad because
Oh yeah.
I could not imagine like, and this is like back in like the what six between like the 60s and the 80s,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah, it
like
was like 60s late.
1961 to 1970, 1975.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because Judy, she was all like, it's 1975, like women
And
are
I'm
supposed to be
Polish.
yeah,
talking about what is it called, domestic abuse at home.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like it just was so sad because Alice was basically groomed and like brainwashed and then drugged, like after
Heavily.
Bear.
She ended up an alcoholic because her husband told her she was too boring.
She
Yeah,
also overdosed at one point. Did y'all remember that?
yes,
She
she
almost
did.
fucking died. And I was like,
Literally.
it would honestly, at this point, for her, just let her go.
Look, honestly, like after that particular chapter where she like OD'd, I thought that we weren't gonna hear anything else from Alice. Like
Right?
legitimately, I was like, she's dead, right? Like, there's no way she's coming back from that because she was just taking pill after pill, like her anxiety pills or whatever,
For
to like help
years.
her. Yeah, and then just one night, she just was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like she just was take there's so many triggers in this book for like anybody like I'm sure there's probably on like the author's website maybe the like trigger warnings or maybe there's some
Mm-hmm.
in the book and we just like skipped over them because
But typically they're at the front.
uh,
Or like
let
when
me
you
see.
listen to a podcast and stuff, it's like at the beginning. trigger
They had
warning.
some weird beginning stuff for this one, like the audiobook. I was listening and I'm like, is this the fucking book? And I got kind of pissed off because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, okay. So maybe it's on the author's website, maybe. But this was in 2020, and like I mean, sometimes like what triggers one person doesn't trigger another. So, just for anybody going into it, like tread lightly with some of the topics. So,
Take a
like,
break.
yeah, like if you need to take a break, take one, because I had to take a break a couple of times after reading it because it just was a lot.
I was gonna keep like listening to it because I was like, oh, surely they're gonna change the POV to one of the other 8 people, and then it
mhm.
kept going with Alice, and I'm like, when will it end?
I
Leave
know
her
Alice had
alone.
like she had like fucking 5 or 6 chapters in a row. I was like,
And
just
they
What's
were
her
motherfucker.
long.
beef?
Yeah, and they were long too. Like, cause normally the chapters like they're just like maybe like look they're just little one-offs, right? And so like they're like
And
maybe I
they're
don't know.
like, like cliffhanger, next POV.
Yeah.
It's like Alice again,
Yeah, I was
Alice
like,
again.
I was like, Alice is really going through it right now. But I mean, I mean that, and it was so disheartening for me when she found out that Peter was cheating on her with her sister, and well, she's like, I could confront them, and she was like, make a big stink, and then me and Peter get divorced and like all of this stuff, and she was like, or I could just walk away and I don't have to start over. And that made me so sad because back then, Peter was the only man like she'd ever known, like
Yeah,
in any way, shape, or form in a relationship way. And like he's got all the money. So like if she left him, she wouldn't have anything.
but I
Uh-huh.
think she knew like for a while that it's like this wasn't like a relationship of like love. It was definitely of like rich people
Business.
matching and like something definitely
Yeah.
higher than her. So she's
Yeah.
like, you know what? This is kind of freeing in a way because I don't have to worry about this guy anymore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's
Like
I
like,
just
I
she didn't
could
have to worry
die
about pleasing
knowing
him.
I don't
yeah.
give a fuck about him.
I mean, they literally were sleeping in separate rooms. Like
Mm-hmm.
he
That
just told her,
he instilled.
yeah, he literally was just like, "Hey, I think you should sleep in a different room." And I was like, "What? What did he
If we
say?"
were married, I'd be like, you're fucking stupid.
Like, you think me should sleep? Me? Your
But
wife?
then But then in the beginning of the book too, like in her first chapter, she was like, "Oh, she walked past Peter's room and she didn't want to look to see who was in there this time." And that reminded me of when Barbara and was it Judy?
Tracy.
Tracy
Tracy.
snuck in the house and then she heard giggles and be like, Peter.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm like,
think
yeah,
Barbara
yeah. What is a rich man
also.
without cheating in the
You know
70s?
what? I bet Barbara knew
Oh, Barbara
about,
knew everything.
yeah,
Nobody cared about Barbara, but Barbara saw everything.
I bet yeah, I mean, she was invisible to everybody. So, like, of
Mm-hmm.
course, they were like, oh, it's just Barbara. Or they probably
Yeah.
just didn't even see her, So they probably didn't even care. Like, oh,
Yeah.
your dad's just casually cheating on your mom with your aunt, but whatever. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And others.
Yeah, because I mean, who knows that black fly goodbye thing? Like, it basically sounds
Well,
like it was
I'm
just like a
pretty
big
sure
orgy.
there was like prostitutes in there because you remember what was his name? The guy that like we were like, oh, I think he murdered Barbara because
John
like
Paul
John Paul.
We hate
Jr. or
John
Remember
Junior.
Paul. Oh,
that girl who like talked to Judy first was like, oh, he left in this car and it's this color and this is what he was
uh-huh.
wearing. And Judy was like, why do you have such a detailed description of the car? And she goes, I've been in that car a couple times.
We all knew
And
John Paul wasn't shit.
Girl, okay.
right.
A rich man in the 70s.
Look,
Rich
he
man,
wasn't
period.
shit. Also, his name was John Paul. Like, come on now.
Come on.
Come
Sounds
on.
French,
You
sounds
know?
French,
creepy.
oui,
No
oui.
offense to the French viewers.
I
Full
mean,
offense.
I'm not gonna lie. Biblical name people, they're kind of like, I mean, Peter was terrible. John Paul, also terrible. So, like, I'm just throwing that out there or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say. So that's
Well,
fun.
another bigwig in the story is Judy.
Yes, Judy is the detective who is on Barbara's disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
And she
And
really kind of like pulls together like how these rich people all kind of know each other and how it's been like a
Yeah.
big thing for a minute.
Bro, Judy was pulling the strings and all of that shit fell apart, okay? Like their house of cards was said absolutely not against Judy. And like honestly, it made me really happy that Liz Moore decided to make the detective a woman and a woman of color at that
Mm-hmm.
in the 70s.
I thought she was
And
Polish.
I don't know. I don't
I thought
remember.
she was Arab,
No, she was
like Middle
Polish
Eastern of some
Hang on,
kind.
wait. I got a character thing pulled up on my computer. Let me look.
because it was like a big thing and like she's one of the Polish families around there. I could be wrong.
Look, I don't know. Look, we're gonna look on the Googles. We're gonna get some googling on.
Because
But
her
I
last name,
mean,
because her name is Yudita.
yeah, Udita. This book is 490 pages. Oh my god.
And like she
That
had some
is
fancy last name that was like, I was like, ah,
yeah. Udit what was her last name?
Luptak.
Yeah,
that's a Polish name.
is it?
I think so. It sounded, when I read it out loud, I was like, hmm.
I'm glad we're all doing great, honestly. Let me see.
Yudita.
Judy, Breath of Fresh Air, otherwise heavy novel, as first female investigator in Albany. Wow, first female investigator in Albany. Okay, period.
She was doing something.
Yudita Love Tag. God of the Woods to Google.
Okay, I might have to do a little bit of editing since we're doing this.
It's
TJ,
fine.
Rookie Detective, smart, pathetic, da da da. Okay, yeah, no, my little thing doesn't tell me.
All it says is Yudita, a middle child who never excelled at anything. Well, fantastic. Love Tag.
Oh my god. We're getting so deep into this.
I know.
It's fine. Maybe I should get Liz Moore on here so I can talk to her about the book.
Oh wow, I didn't notice that.
What?
She's Slavic.
Oh,
Slavic. Okay.
Yeah, so I think if I remember, she's Polish.
But anyway,
I don't know.
I just appreciated that the person who really got to like really did the digging and like was really doing like a lot of the legwork was a
Mm-hmm.
woman. And like, and she wasn't even like, she wasn't like a hard pressing investigator. Like how, you know, when you watch TV and like the male investigators like, who did it? You did it, right? Da da da. Tell me where she's at. Da da da. Like Judy's like terrified. And she's like, I don't know. But she just keeps getting answers from people because people are underestimating her.
And it was also because like people were saying how like the first investigation people like they were so quick to like brush it off, wrap it up, and she's like, "No, we're not going to do that actually this time."
Mm-hmm. Well, mostly because I mean, in the first investigation with Bear, like they actually had something to hide.
Yeah.
Whereas Barbara, they're genuinely like, we have no fucking idea what's going on.
And
Like,
you know, we don't actually care either because they're talking about
yeah.
how like they just stayed in the house and they're like, "Shouldn't y'all be like more worried?" And they're like, "Eh,
I mean, like, we're worried, I guess, but
But
shit."
how worried is worried?
yeah, you know, they, I felt really bad for Barbara because, like, you know, we don't ask to come into the world, and she basically had to come in to be a replacement, and they treated her like one.
And
Kind of
everyone
like,
knew she was a replacement.
yeah, kind of like, this is gonna sound weird, but like Prince William and Prince Harry, like you have the heir and the spare.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, if anything ever happened to Prince William before he got married and had kids, then, you know, Harry would be the one who's next in line for the throne. So that's kind of like what happened. Like the heir, you know, went
Dot.
missing and was presumed dead. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now we got to have another one so we can have her. And I'm like, what would y'all have done? Like if something happened to Barbara, like, are you just going to keep putting Alice through this?
Yeah.
Because like honestly, my girl was not doing well, like at all. So like, I don't know. It just seems it was really
Fucked up.
just it was real fucked up. I want to move a little bit and because we're talking about Barbara, let's talk about Bear and his disappearance.
Fair.
That because Bear's disappearance, like it plays such a big role in the book. Like Bear himself, even though he's, you know, spoiler, he's dead. Um, I know, ugh, God, destroyed when I found out that he was dead. Because I was just hoping that he was just like hiding out in the woods or something for like a
I
very
thought
long
he
Literally.
time.
was.
Like,
Seriously, I was hoping.
dude, like I was just hoping that like he was still alive, and then come to find out he is actually dead.
Been dead.
Um, he like did okay. There's no like, there was no bringing him back, and like
Eh.
it yeah, okay, I understand. So for the reader, watcher, listener, whatever, um, you find out how Bear dies and he drowns.
Yeah.
And you find out how I don't want to tell them like how he like what like surrounding that because I still want there to be a little bit of mystery there.
But it was
Um,
equally traumatic.
Yeah.
very very fucking traumatic. But his
Should come with a
grandpa,
disclaimer.
yeah, his grandpa was the one who found him, and his grandpa did not perform CPR on him, which I mean, you know, depending on how long he had been underwater and like all of that stuff, like, but you know, they're rich. Do we really think that they know CPR?
Not back then.
Like, I mean,
Probably didn't
CPR was
cross
a
their
But
mind.
thing.
here's the thing. What we learned about the first Peter is also how we learn about how TJ and her dad came to be in
Yes.
in the mix because they were the guide that led them to the land that all of this is now on.
Yeah.
And we end
So
up learning that TJ's dad has an actual right because of the will of the first Van Laar. He was like, oh, he gets the camp at some point because it was so ambiguous. Peter the second never fucking like
gave it
liked
to him.
him.
Yeah. Yeah. So um TJ is Tessie Joe. She is one of the groundskeepers and she's like head camp person at
She's the director.
the, yeah, she's
Director.
the
Yeah.
camp director. And her dad is Vic, and he was the
The guy
head of,
who led the search when
bro,
Bear
first of all,
disappeared.
her daddy so old. Like the way they like describe, like it just
He's
seems
just as
like,
old as Peter the second,
Yeah.
but he has
really?
dementia.
About
Yeah,
that old.
they grew up together.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
They grew
Oh,
up
okay.
together.
Okay.
But he has dementia, so with dementia, he eats at you,
Yeah.
which is why
Boy,
TJ
does it.
had to take care of him.
Yeah. So TJ basically she grew up a little bit with Bear. She was just what?
They
How
were
a
best
couple,
friends.
they were like, she was only like a couple years
2
older
years.
than he was. Yeah, she was
She
two
was
years
like
older
his
than him.
babysitter almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
But
I
it was an
mean,
ongoing joke that they were going to end up together, which was surprising
yeah,
considering the fact that Peter didn't even like her. But even
yeah,
Alice was like, yeah, that's his little girlfriend. Like, they
yeah,
follow each other everywhere.
yeah. So it TJ took it really hard when Bear went missing. Vic, her
And
dad,
spoil alert, she actually saw everything that happened to him.
yes, she did see everything that happened to him, and her dad, Vic, um,
Plays a part in it. It's
he
not like
definitely,
he did it, but he plays a
yeah,
part
he
in
plays a big part in
hiding
it.
it.
Yes, and I mean they hid it for what, 15 years. So like it's real, and the amount of people that were like in on the whole thing, like it's so crazy to me. I'm like,
It's crazy that they kept it a secret for as long as they did.
yeah, but I mean like when you've got, you know, again, I think it was in Vic has a point of view, and Vic's point of view is just so fucking heartbreaking because he is the blue collar guy who is taking care of the Van Laar's land for such a long time.
Loves them too.
And like I mean, he loved Bear, he loves Barbara, like he loves all of them. And it's just really messed up because he's like, well, I can't leave.
He got pulled into making something go away the rich people way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like basically just like, oh, like yeah, we'll go looking and we'll do this and we'll do that. And then it's like, you know what? Actually, we've been looking for like 2 days. I think that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just
Um,
call it off.
yeah, like obviously he's gone forever because it's been like 2 days. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
And I thought it
Uh,
was so sad that they were like, "Oh, let's just put an end to this, like to give Alice peace of mind, so she doesn't like get so emotionally hurt without, fully telling her all the details, so she's left wondering and like constantly popping pills." But then
yeah,
also, it was mostly for the fact that they wanted to covered up the rich people way, so that way the other rich people wouldn't be like, you lost a kid, suspicious."
yeah,
Well, it wasn't even just that. Like Alice says it best. Back then, the Van Laar way was we have to have a perfect family and a perfect life because if we don't, we're bankers. That was like the whole family money.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Why would you trust somebody that doesn't have their shit together to handle your
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Which I mean, back in the day, like you could kind of make an argument for that. It was like, oh, this guy doesn't even have his shit together. How am I supposed to trust him with my money?
I mean,
You
this
know?
was placed before the Great Depression, right?
No,
What?
no.
The Great
No?
Depression was in
After?
the 30s, 40s,
The
right? The
30s and
30s,
40s.
20s, 30s?
It was the
That's
30s.
probably where the whole slogan comes from, though, because a lot of people stopped trusting banks after that had happened.
Probably.
True.
But I mean, this is the six. I mean, this is like 30, 40 years later. So, um, than the depression. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know a lot about like bankers and shit like that. I'm poor.
Same. Oh my God.
So I don't know anything about that. So
I just feel like it was very like historic, like something about the time and everything, and about how
yeah,
like she presented the story, like the author took it. I
yeah,
just feel like historically, like it had to have some kind of correlation as to why they thought like that.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
let
Generational.
Mm-hmm.
um let's talk
Trauma.
about let's talk about the person who I'm most excited for, who got some fucking justice at the end of this book, Carl. Let's talk about Carl
Carl!
and how they did my boy so dirty.
He
Okay?
was so sweet.
He was a
Carl was
gardener on the property.
Yes, Carl was a gardener on the Van Laar Preserve.
Love those
And
kids.
he got hella kids. His son passed away from cancer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, his son,
Leukemia.
yeah, his son had leukemia, I think, and his son was about the same age as Bear, and his son passed away. Excuse me, and so he kind of took like a fatherly type role towards Bear because, even though Peter was Bear's father, he wasn't really a father.
Mm-mm.
He just kind of like looked at him and was like, "Yep, that's a kid. I'll see you when you turn
Yeah.
18."
Literally.
When
Um,
my like investment pays off.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what they
yeah.
were saying, that it's more of an investment than a child.
Yeah, too
Mm-hmm.
bad he never turned 18. That really sucks. Um, sorry.
Baby.
Sorry for that dark joke right there. Um, but Carl, so the story that was told to the police when Bear went missing was that he was supposed to be going on a hike with his grandfather, and they got like so far deep into the woods, and he was like, "Oh, grandpa, I have to go back to get my knife. I'll be back." And then Bear never came back. And so the grandpa comes back to the preserve and he's like, um, have y'all seen Bear? Sorry, I don't know what just happened on my computer screen.
I
My
don't
computer's
either.
my computer's having like a stroke for some reason. Kayla's white iPhone whiteboard.
I
Mac,
am pressing buttons. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm back. Did it go away?
are you gonna
No,
draw some
stop.
map?
Hang on. Did it? Hang on. Did
Stop.
it?
Stop.
What?
If you're not
Uh,
following,
Here, let me click stop.
I was clicking stop.
She's
That didn't.
drawing a picture.
How do I get out of here? Okay, there we go. That's Bear for everyone who didn't know what he looked like.
You little stick
Okay.
figure bear.
All right, I'm gonna stop pressing buttons.
Honestly, that's what. Look, I just got an email that was like Kayla's whiteboard created in the meeting. That's my fave. Um, what was I saying?
Carl.
Carl.
He was a volunteer firefighter.
Yes, volunteer
Oh my God.
firefighter. And honestly, their volunteer fire department. It's my favorite thing because like when you watch like old like shows where like really small towns have volunteer fire departments and like they only ever get called like if there's really like a fire, which
Yeah.
as we know in small towns there's like ever never any fires, like there's never any like crime or anything like that, so like they've got like one police officer and one fireman, like it's like a whole thing, right?
Everyone knows each other,
Yeah, right.
which plays in.
So yeah, so Carl, R.I.P. to the king. Um,
King.
he, um, he took, whatever. So the story is that, they said, oh, this is about the time that Bear would have been going back to the preserve. Okay. And so Carl comes forward and he kind of comes forward, but like not really. And he's like, hey, I saw him at this time out in front of the house. And so then everyone just decides that since Carl was allegedly the last person to see him, that he was the one who killed Bear.
Which I thought was fucking wild because he works on the grounds. Why would he not see someone?
Yeah. Like, what do you mean he was the last person who saw him? Like,
Like it was
that's,
just a casual, he wasn't stalking him. It was just a casual, oh hey, yeah, I saw that kid.
yeah, like I saw him tying his shoes and then he went
Like
up into
every
the
day.
house. Literally, yeah. So Carl was having heart problems. Um, and he was real sick. He was having real bad heart problems, and then the police came to get him to take him in for questioning, and he had a heart attack in his holding cell, and he died. So everyone just made him an easy scapegoat, and they were like, "Well, since he was so stressed and had a heart attack, obviously he felt guilty, so he killed himself. Like he stressed himself so hard with his guilt over killing Bear that he died." I was like, "Wow, that's real fucked up."
That man did not have any like show of violence or
No,
in his body. Like there was
no.
no.
No, we love Carl. Even though he died pretty
He was
early
a
on in the
gardener.
book. Yeah, like even though he died pretty early on in the book, he was one of the good characters. Like I mean, all the characters are like, you know which characters are the good guy characters and which characters are the bad guy characters. And Carl was definitely a good guy character, and it made me really sad that he died, and everyone was just like, yeah, he killed the Van Laar kid. It's like, no, he didn't, um, and let's talk about Carl's wife, Mary, for a second, because
Marianne.
first of all, my girl trying to find evidence for 15 years
In the
In
to
her
woods.
slippers.
to clear her man's name. That is the ultimate like show of love for me. And I was like, we need more Marys out here because she was like, I know my husband did not kill that kid. I know he didn't, and she was out in the woods so much that the kids at the camp had a scary story about her because they all saw her so much in the woods and then she would just disappear. She was known as Scary Mary. So that really like, hi, what's up? You
That
want to
was
talk about
so
it?
neat when they tied that together. I was like,
Yes, I loved
oh.
that so much. Um, so I think, is there anything else about Bear's disappearance that we're missing or
I
that we
like
need to
how they
talk about?
kind of well no, that might not be related to Bear exactly actually,
No,
but
you're
I
fine.
know the deep history, like the even deeper history behind this book cuz it just keeps going deeper. Was that the original family that owned the entire area, like the wood mill people, and eventually their descendant that was still haunting the area till that day. Essentially haunting. The Slaters.
Yes, Jacob Sluter.
Like,
Yes, the Sluter family.
there's
Yes.
also a serial killer in this novel.
Yes.
So many
And that
twists.
honestly, that was such a good red herring.
Because it seems like an open and shut case for both of them.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well he killed Bear, so obviously he killed Barbara. Like that ties it up right there. But red herring. And for those of you English people who don't know what a red herring is, it's basically just like a trick. It's like, that's not actually true. It's not true. Jacob did not, but Jacob did know where Bear was buried.
He
And
was a witness to a lot of things.
yes, he was. He led them to Jacob's body and to the person who buried Jacob's body. And that is not Jacob, Bear's
Peter.
body. He led them to Peter, quote unquote, Bear Van Laar's body, and to the man who buried him in the spot that he was buried. And that is all that I will say about that. And that is how all of everything kind of came to be um, when you find out how Bear was killed and who killed him and like all of that stuff. And the really big cover up behind it, which so wild to me that they did a cover up like that.
It really tied together there.
Yeah, it really tied together really nicely.
Tragically.
Yeah, 100%. But then we go 15 years later and Barbara goes missing and we're like, wait, why
Wait
is
a minute.
Barbara missing? What happened? Why is Barbara missing? And it there's just so much going on in this book. And like it was my I think my favorite part about reading it was all of the like that's why that is moments. Like that's how that ties in. That's how this does this. Like all of the things like clicking together and like weaving the puzzle. I was like, that
Yeah,
was
like them trying to be like, oh, Barbara, like she's had issues, she's had problems. And, nowadays we know that it's like something deeper is going on with this child for her to be
yeah,
acting as such. And then it
100%.
really showed everything with her and how, like, things affected her and things left her unaffected that, would shock anybody else. And then you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Uh Ashley, do you have anything to say? You're being very quiet.
I'm listening.
Listening.
She's such a good listener.
I know.
That's why you guys always call me when you have emotional distress.
That's fair. That's fair.
The
That's
1,000-yard stare. Poor Alice. She's thinking about Alice.
Look, Alice is in my thoughts and prayers, even though she's a fictional character.
Literally. Oh,
Alice has been through it.
Yeah, like I mean, she has to get married when she's 18. She has a kid. Her kid dies, and then her other kid basically goes missing, and they can't find her. Excuse me, which is like crazy.
So then, if we time skip, because we've talked about both cases.
Yes.
And if we time skip to the end, who wants to tell the people what happened?
Do we want to tell them?
maybe
do we want to
not.
maybe we should let them figure it out for themselves. Maybe we shouldn't make them
Like
read it for themselves.
Okay.
Because I mean, I feel like we've given I
a
will
lot
give
of
out
spoilers.
Yeah,
without giving too much.
Yeah, and I don't want to give like the really big ones away. So I think that we'll just hold it for like the actual end of the book. But we'll say that Judy did solve the case because of course she did. She's a queen. Um I will say that there's with Bear's disappearance and with Barbara's disappearance, there's so many like roads that could have been taken and so many people that could have been charged. Like you get Carl Carl getting blamed for Bear's disappearance because he died. And then he can't, of course, he can't, defend himself because he's dead. So he can't be like, no, I didn't do it, But then you have Barbara now in 1975 going missing, and there's just so like I mean, there's John Paul McClellan Jr. who is a suspect. There's Louise, her camp counselor, who's a suspect in her disappearance. I mean, who else? There was Jacob Sluter, the serial killer. Like he was also a suspect. Um,
The bad boy, I forget his name, but the one that
oh,
was gonna sleep with.
Lee Tosin, we love a good bad
Mhm.
boy. He also sold drugs, and I was like, oh, Lee, excuse me,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Um, so you got these four people who are basically accused of Barbara's disappearance. At one point, TJ gets accused of not only Barbara's disappearance, but some inappropriate activity with Barbara. And
Mm-hmm.
TJ's like, no, that is my child. Because when Barbara was born, TJ was old enough to kind of help out
She's
with
like
her. So
13.
yeah, so TJ was basically Barbara's babysitter.
Mhm.
So she basically was more of a mom to her than Alice was, but Alice just couldn't mentally be a mom at the point when Barbara was born. So,
Alice was set up for failure. Let's
She
100%.
just
really was.
say
100%.
it what it is. She was set up for failure, and let's just say she did. She failed.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, both of her kids
She
are
was just
gone.
pulled along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
mean,
she was,
Barbara was set up for failure.
yeah, 100%. 100%. Um, I'm
The character Louise, like she
sorry,
was interesting, but she also kind of like the decisions she made pissed me off because her character, she's
girl.
someone who's very independent, but for someone who's so independent, it shocked me how like almost self-sabotaging she was and how like she didn't have the foresight. And I'm like, you've been kind of doing this on your own for years, and you also
Yeah.
are thinking of taking care of another person. So I'm surprised that like you haven't thought of checking all the boxes when you're in a situation and
Yeah.
like actively working against yourself in some cases.
Yeah.
She
I feel
pissed
like
me
what
off till the
it was
very end.
for her was I'm doing everything like the hard way and like trying to pay for stuff, trying to whatever, like putting herself through well, I mean, not even through school, just putting herself through life
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
also trying to like keep her brother alive. So I think with her, it was like, but if I get married, all of this stops. I get to stop working. I get to breathe. I get to take care of my brother, and somebody gets to take care of me. And I
I
I
feel
think
mean,
it
she
was
would have
her
just turned into
want.
another Alice.
Oh,
that's what I was thinking, but I think
I
she
feel like
just wanted
she's
to do it for like her brother, so she could
Yeah.
have life.
Yeah.
for the
That was her
money,
goal.
Yeah.
and pop off like it's the 21st century, and so many girls don't give a fuck, and they still marry for money.
Yeah.
We've got
Because
25-year-olds marrying like 80-year-olds.
And she like really woke up at the end there. Like she knew like for a while that it wasn't gonna be what she thought it was. And then when she had that wake up, she was like, kind of like a deep breath. Like I feel like
yeah.
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 Like she felt fine.
So for the watcher, Louise is Barbara's camp counselor who
Mhm.
had the same like they all slept in the same
Cap
cabin.
Cabin.
So Louise was like the big counselor, and then they had
a
what was her name?
CIT.
Annabelle, bitch,
Annabelle, the counselor in training.
who was
Oh, let's talk about
17.
Annabelle trash. Okay. I don't
Annabelle
like
was
her.
sleeping with John Paul, which
But
was her boyfriend.
to be expected, like with
Yeah.
the type of people they were dealing with. And even at the end of the book, they're like, oh, these two rich people from rich families, a smart match.
Yeah, like
And
John Paul
Annabelle
is
was 16, and
yeah, she's
John
like
Paul
16,
is
17, yeah.
25.
yeah. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
And
not
the
creepy."
families were planning on them to get together. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, hi, Alice. Is that you?
Right. Knock, knock, knocking on your door right there. So John Paul McClellan Jr. is Louise's boyfriend, and he is a dumpster fire. We hate him.
Mm-hmm.
Just coke.
Also I'll also give a trigger warning to people who are survivors of DV, um, or you're going through
Oh
that
yeah.
situation right now, there is a scene where there is some of that, and it's, I mean,
That was rough.
Brutal.
it was honestly,
Brutal.
I was cringing. I was like, oh my God. And like it it just really hurt my heart because like all he did, I mean, like he like, and
Manipulator.
yeah, 100%. And he real like I mean, he fucked her up like
He
really
did.
bad. And
But
she like basically ghosts him, right? And then he just shows up at her other job. So she works at the summer camp during the summer, obviously. And she has another job that's during the rest of the year.
And it was
And
a hotel lodge resort thing.
yeah, so she worked at a like a resort for like the other 6 months of the like the other 6, 9 months. How many months are there in a year?
12.
12.
Well,
So like 9 months out of the year she was working at this resort, and then 3 months she
yeah.
was
Mm-hmm.
working there in the summer at the camp. And John Paul literally just like came to
Shows up
her
in Love
job,
Bomber.
and he
Love
was
Love
like,
Bomb.
I'm sorry, it's because I was drunk. And I'm like, no, that's not an excuse,
That's all you.
sir. Like, he's like, I'm never gonna drink again. And then obviously we know that was a lie. So,
Mm-hmm. Amongst other
um,
things.
yes. So I was really proud of Louise by the end of it because she was like, you know what, I do deserve better. And so does her younger brother, because she wants to take care of him, get him out of the situation that he's in, which I can understand, but at the same time it's like, girl, like you're not making the best decisions to actually set yourself up for success. But again, this is like the 70s. So like back then, like it was, you're either gonna get married or you're gonna be a spinster.
And
Like
then
there was no in between.
what John Paul did ended up kind of like coming back around and kind of fucking him over,
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
which we
So
love to see.
well, okay, we love to see the karma, okay, for John Paul. He definitely like, even though I think he was ultimately cleared, right, of Barbara's disappearance, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because they didn't have, yeah, well, they didn't have a body to, I mean, you can have all the evidence that you want, but without a physical like body, like you can't actually try that in court. Like it's a really hard thing for the legal system to try without like an actual dead person. So he kind of just like got off, and we're like, hey, don't be doing that.
Also, I don't
Don't
think the
be,
motive was truly there. I mean, there was that
no.
part where they found some evidence of like um Barbara plus John Paul, which I didn't understand fully, but like,
It was planted. So
Yeah,
like if you remember in the story,
it was
oh,
all a setup.
oh
TJ
yeah, yeah, yeah,
basically
yeah. When they went back
Yeah,
to the
believes,
house,
yeah.
I
well,
see.
Well, because she
TJ
was mad
told
that her mom
Louise,
painted her wall, remember?
yeah,
While they were going in for the other stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, okay, I remember now.
yeah. So it all like
It all interconnects. You guys will have fun. Read the book.
literally it just
Hell yeah.
it comes together so well. Like I, I have like I've read like interconnected books like that, like this before, but this one was so well, like it was so well done. Like, because every chapter ended on a cliffhanger, and then you would jump 15 years. So it's like we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about Bear's disappearance, and then all of a sudden we're talking about Barbara's disappearance, and it's like, wait, what?
Take
What
me
do you
back.
mean? I
I
was
need
like,
to
what?
know.
I was like, what? Like, Bear goes missing, right? And then like all of a sudden you're like, well, now Barbara's missing. I'm like, no, what happened to Bear? So like it definitely all comes together, and everything eventually does come to a head, and you find out about Bear, and you find out about Barbara. Um
And it was with like that with a lot of the characters. So it's like
yeah.
you just wanted to keep like I did the audiobook, so you just wanted to keep like listening to it. And it was like the town gossip. It's like everybody had a story and you're like, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If
Basically.
you
It just
listen to
felt,
it, it's very addicting.
Yes.
yeah. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, this was all just one female narrator, right? Because I listened to it. I think it was only one female narrator,
She did
right?
really good. Like
Yeah,
you
she,
really get iffy about who like does the narration, but she did really good.
yeah.
I liked her.
Yeah, she was real. I could probably look and see what her name is. My Audible.
So,
Um,
what do we rate this?
I'd given it 5 stars.
5 out of 5.
I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, I can see
Actually,
why.
that's
The
tea.
only reason I gave it 4.5 is because one, I wish there would have been disclaimers because
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
isn't, it just didn't, like, it has very sensitive material that could trigger
yeah,
other people. And it's like, I understand. Like, people love to say that this generation is soft, but you don't know who's picking up this book. Like,
yes,
we've learned a lot about mental health. Like, anybody who wants to can call me soft in the comments, but I'm just thinking of others. And I know that if I was triggered by some of these, I would have appreciated like a heads up at the beginning so I could have made an informed decision.
yeah,
So
100%.
that's why I gave it a 4.5. And I also gave it a 4.5 because, like I said, the like we've read a couple POV books where it's like it's two, so
Yeah,
they just bounce back and forth. So going through eight different point of views, even
yeah,
though it interconnected the story, it was a little confusing at first because
Yeah.
you're just getting material so that you
yeah,
understand what the story's about, and then it interconnects. So I was just
yeah,
like, it turns smooth, but at the beginning it's not. So I was
yeah,
like, the for those two reasons, I'll give it a 4.5. But like I said, overall, it's a great book.
yeah.
Just those two things.
Yeah, I
Okay.
felt like the chapters, like going from chapter to chapter, sometimes was a little rough, and like trying to find the chapters because it's like name, year, and it's like that's
Yeah,
cool and all, but it's like I don't know where I am other than looking at the time of the book. And
Yeah, because me and Mac were trying to talk about it, and I was like, "What chapter are you on?" And she goes,
Judy,
yeah.
19, no, no, no. And she was
Yeah,
like,
it's like
oh,
Judy, day
whoa,
one, 1975. And it's like,
day
okay,
three?
but there's like 15 chapters named Judy, day one, 1975. But yeah.
yeah,
We had to go by the time,
yeah. We
the
had to
Yeah.
go by
minutes,
like the name and then however long that chapter was, and that's where we
Yeah.
literally.
found our spot.
When I started listening to it after Ashley was done, um, it took me a second to find where I was supposed to be at in the book. I was like, where are we at?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
but it's yeah, I can see that. I mean, all of that, I mean, I still would give it 5 stars just because I don't know, it just came together so nicely and I loved all of the aha moments that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I'm sitting over here like feeling like such a detective. I'm like, okay, wait. I'm like,
You got the
I'm
okay,
red
on
I
the
bet
string.
case.
right. I'm like, oh, I bet it was such and such. Like, oh no, wait, it wasn't them. Like that doesn't even make any sense, right? And so you're just like you kind of feel like you're in in the trenches with like all of
Like
these
the
characters.
that always sunny meme with the red string. It's like, who is this?
Yeah, literally. Like it just it I and I think that Liz Moore wrote the characters and all of their emotions so well. Like it was a little hard to kind of like go from like Alice's point of view, like when she has Barbara and she's like, "Where's Bear?" And then like you go from her to like fucking whoever was after her. Like, that was a little hard. Like it's a little
Yeah.
emotionally jarring because you're like, "Okay, I'm crying myself to sleep." And then it's like, "Okay, actually here's this thing where Tracy's at summer camp." And I'm like, "Okay." Um,
I love
you know,
Tracy.
poor Tracy, man. She just really like
She was so sweet.
she
But I
was
feel
and I
like she had a lot of character development,
yeah.
Yeah, like
to
they showed
Barbara.
it was crazy how they fit like she fit all of that in there, how different the characters were and how much they changed.
Yeah.
And like it just really made them people. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy to me.
And I mean they all changed over what, a 3-day period basically?
Yeah, it felt a lot longer,
Like
but I can see why.
yeah, but I mean, you're going through like this freaking search for this child, and then you're like, oh, my roommate's missing. Oh, my cabin, my camper is missing. My daughter's missing. Whoever, right? Like it's just just getting like really deep in there and those emotions. Like I felt like a lot of like honestly, I was having so many feelings. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like
Yeah.
this is a lot. I mean, it's the book is it's heavy in certain parts, but I mean, it's definitely not a comedy. I will say that, but it's not the heaviest book I've ever read. I will say that.
Yeah.
Can you like edit in like a drum roll?
Yeah, I could try.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Cause it's
Oh wait,
time to announce.
I want to tell you who narrated the audiobook for
Oh,
The God
what?
of the Woods. If you want to listen to it,
Before we
um,
close this chapter.
yes. Saskia Marleveld.
Well, she was fabulous.
She was great.
She was really good.
Snaps all around.
I will be looking for more books narrated by her. She
Mm-hmm.
did a very good job. All right, and now Ashley has our pick for January. Ashley, what is our pick for January?
Our pick is a very popular book of this year, right? It was published this year.
Let me
Hmm.
look.
Here, let me look it up. One sec.
Ooh, this one has a map too.
I don't
Does
even know what
it?
it is.
Well, it's because oh wait, it's this one. Let me pull it up.
This was
Post it
23.
book.
It was last year. Because the
It's
last two books are already out
purple
now.
one. Last two books. I thought there was only two books.
No, there's another one.
What the fuck? It's a 3 book?
The trilogy.
Oh no.
I know. We know how Ashley is with her trilogies.
Are we gonna read the trilogy?
Wait, let me double check before like
Oh, wow, the camera zoomed out without
It did.
doing anything.
Bro, your camera's been doing that the whole
It's been
time.
zooming in and out a little bit.
Well, it's because I keep moving because I was like uncomfortable. I was like eating popcorn and then I got tired, so I like leaned back. And then, I'm just over here like
When you were zoning out, it was like zooming in a little bit, and I was like, "This looks like a movie where like the character is just like just losing their mind, but like not just sitting there."
I wasn't zoned out. I was like listening, but
Like,
also
it looked like the madness in your mind
focusing.
was like
You're just like, yes, indeed.
Yes,
No,
there are in fact 3 books.
Fuck me. Okay, send me the third one, will you?
Yes,
okay.
I will.
So the book for January is Assistant to the Villain.
Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Mayer?
I think so.
Hannah, I'm so sorry I'm saying your last name incorrectly, but people also say my last name incorrectly, so it's fine.
I have to find it. I tried finding it in the office when I was in there on Friday, but I'm pretty sure it's buried at the bottom, so that's something I'm gonna have to do when I go back on Thursday.
Because I think we bought this last year.
Forever ago.
Because this book came out last year and it was super duper popular. I think actually somebody bought this for me. I think my friend bought this for me or she recommended it to me and she really wanted me to read it. So, cuz it's got we love a little good rom-com.
So the audiobook is $5.
Woo! $5. That's tea.
14 hours. Put that.
All right.
I'm pissed.
This is why I always do audiobooks. I don't need extra crap in my house, and it is.
I'm just shitty that there's 3 books. But I also have to wait now because I have the sprayed edges version of the first one and the second one. So I also need that for the third one because my OCD is too bad for that shit.
So we have.
This is the first?
Yeah.
Yes, Assistant to the Villain is the first book. The second book is Apprentice to the Villain. And the third book is Accomplice to the Villain.
Oh, they have it in Spanish too.
I don't know if I'm going to read it in Spanish, but like.
I don't think Accomplice to the Villain is out yet.
No, it doesn't look like it.
It comes out August 7th, 2025.
I fucking hate that.
So,
Assistente du Valeo.
well, we can stagger it, right? So we can do assistant for this month. I can pick a different book for
Matt can pick a
February,
different for
one for
March.
March, and then April we
I'm
can do,
April.
yeah, and then I'm May, and then Max June, and
And
then
I'm
we can,
August.
yeah, so then we could do the third one for August, I think, right?
Oh
We
wait,
need
is
to
that the
like,
whole 3 book series?
It's a
yeah,
3-book series, yeah.
Yeah, it
yes.
looks like they have it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the third book's not out yet. It comes out 2025 in August.
And
So
okay,
pre-order.
I'm ready for my dramatic read, Jonna.
okay,
I'm all
and
tucked in.
I will apologize to the listener watcher because I have been battling what we call sinus drainage. So I sound better than I did yesterday.
It's
So
crazy that I'm the healthy one.
right now she's the healthy one. Right
Fucking
now.
dying over here.
Just right now. Like literally, it's so crazy that me and Mac are both like feeling disgusting. And Ashley's just like, hey, what's up? When she's literally the sickliest person like I've ever met in my life.
I'm chronically sick.
She's our sweet Victorian child.
Literally. Literally. She took that Bridgerton era real seriously.
You should have seen our maintenance man's face when I go, yeah, like I take like 6 pills daily in order to like stay alive.
He
Function.
was like,
He was like, okay, like I get it, mental health. I'm like, no, bitch, I'm like
look,
health, like vitals, like I'm
he
sick.
would hate to hear how many pills my mom takes to stay alive every fucking day. Because she's been battling diabetes for 20. How old is my sister? 29 years?
She's got a lot of years. I'm also diabetic.
Yes.
But I've only
So,
been battling diabetes for technically 5.
yeah,
Yeah, because I was 20.
little baby.
So I would say 4, because I was
Yeah.
basically 21 when I got diagnosed.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
All
I'm
right.
ready.
So here we go with our this podcast brought to you by diabetes awareness.
Check your glucose.
All
Anyway.
right. So, assistant to the villain. Here is the synopsis.
Woo.
The back says, assistant wanted. Notorious high-ranking villain seeks loyal, level-headed assistant for unspecified office duty, supporting staff for random mayhem and terror and other dark things in general. Discretion is a must. Excellent benefits. And I'm like, what kind of benefits does a villain have? That's the question.
Medical, dental,
You
vision.
know, whatever you need, you know? All right, so here's the actual synopsis. It says, with ailing family to support, Evie Sage's employment status isn't just important, it's vital. So when a mishap with Renadon's most infamous villain results in a job offer, naturally she says yes. No job is perfect, of course, but even less so when you develop a teeny crush on your terrifying, temperamental, and undeniably hot boss. Don't find evil so attractive, Evie. But just when she's getting used to severed heads suspended from the ceiling and the odd
Blue?
squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, Evie suspects this dungeon has a huge rat, and not just the literal kind, because something rotten is growing in the kingdom of Renadon, and someone wants to take the villain and his entire nefarious empire out. Now Evie must not only resist drooling over her boss, but also figure out exactly who is sabotaging his work and ensure he makes them pay. After all, a good job is hard to find. So, that is the synopsis of Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Meher. I'm gonna say Mayer. That's gonna be my guess.
Let's say
Mayer.
mayor.
We're gonna say Mayer. So that is the Puck. The Puck. I was gonna say pick. I was thinking pick, but I went to say book. So here we are, guys. We're doing great. So that is the pick/book for January. If anybody would like to read along with us, we give ourselves literally the whole month to read it because Ashley reads fast as shit.
She does.
I was the first one done with this one.
I was so mad.
And she was listening to it. Effa. But anyway, that's
But
none of
I
my
do read really fast. Like back when
She
me and
does.
Shauna did, because we used to do like 6 chapters. I'm like, yeah, let's read 6 chapters. And then she'd be like, yeah, I just read 2. I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm waiting on you.
Yeah. So we had to I was like, girl, I can't keep doing this with you. So we give ourselves the whole month to read the book, and then if we all just so happen to finish before the month is over, then we discuss. So depending on how we all react to Assistant to the Villain, there might be another one of these fancy book club videos coming out, which I would love to continue to do these because these are so fun. Because I love seeing the reactions and the hand movements. It's my favorite thing,
I do talk with my hands.
I talk with my hands too. Hopefully next time Matt can be on camera. So we can see all of her gestures and hand movements as well.
Coming at you straight from Texas.
Literally. Texas Mac, as she has been so lovingly labeled in my phone. So you guys can get Assistant to the Villain at literally any freaking bookstore. It's there.
I think me and John have
At your local retailer.
Yeah, literally. Support small businesses if you can. If you know of like a local little bookstore that probably has this book, which they probably do since it's really popular, go check out your local little bookstore because we love Barnes and Noble and we love Half Price Books and Books a Million, but we'll try and shop local and support local when we can. If anybody has any questions or wants to add into the conversation, please comment below. If you guys want to see more videos like this, also comment if you guys want to have more book club videos of me, Ashley, and Mac. And then we could be jam. Jana, Ashley,
I hate
Mac.
you.
We could be jam. No. We could have jam sessions, guys.
Oh no.
We could have jam club.
Let's jam.
Jam club. Come on. Nobody? Okay. Anyway.
We're going to jam out.
Yeah,
I love that for all of us.
Or we could be Madge, Mac, Ashley, and Jana.
Yeah, there's no way I can be first because it doesn't. I'm a vowel.
Yeah, it's real difficult.
You're an important key part to the structure.
Yeah,
you're a load-bearing name.
Literally, and also you're like the youngest in the group, so you got to be like you got to be protected by me and Mac.
Yeah, it's Jana, and then it's I don't know where you'll see Mac, but Mac's at the bottom of my iPad. So and then it's Mac.
Yeah, Mac's down here for me too, and you're right here.
Thanks, y'all.
Only if what is it called? Only by a year, right? I think you guys are only apart by a year. And then I'm 25.
She's just a wee baby. Yeah, just keep rubbing it in. I just turned 30 this year. Rude.
My back and body hurts.
Girl, girl, tell me about it, okay? Tell me about it. So anyway, if you guys want to see more book club videos, let me know. If you guys want to watch any of my author interviews, I have some of those on my channel as well. If you would like to rate, review, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, and I would love you very, very much.
Below.
Huh?
Click on the button below. I don't know where the subscribe
Please
is.
click. It's like down. It's going on YouTube, so it's gonna be like down
and subscribe and hit that bell for.
Look, man. If you see Kayla's iPhone or Mac, a picture, depending on what I decide to do, it's below where she is. Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to Booking It with Jana. That way you guys can be here when the next book club video comes out. But Ashley, Mac, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and doing book club with me. And I can't wait for us to read Assistant to the Villain. Does anybody want to say anything before I stop recording?
Yeehaw! And that's all.
All right. I love everyone. I'm going to stop the recording now.